Welcome, everyone, to WWTA News. Here we look at crypto, finance, and economic news. I'm your host, EB, and thank you for joining us. So we got this story here. The reconciliation bill may accelerate Bitcoin adoption in the United States. So we take a quick read. If the effects of unprecedented stimulus and spending, negative real returns, increasing inflation, rising institutional distrust, and frighteningly high traditional asset prices aren't enough, the recently proposed $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill might give Americans reason to consider alternative financial habits, and not for the reasons you may be thinking. Although extraordinary in size and scope, the budget reconciliation bill also proposes unprecedented tax compliance measures that would dramatically change the financial landscape for many Americans. As it is currently written, the bill introduces requirements for banks and other financial third parties to report to the Internal Revenue Service net inflows and outflows on all accounts valued at $600 or more, or with at least $600 worth of annual transactions. More importantly, however, is the fact that approval would give the IRS authority to collect information on every American bank account valued at as little as $600. Many Americans are probably not very keen on banks reporting their account data to be examined by the IRS. And while this intrusion into United States citizens' financial privacy is morally questionable, it also poses a tremendous risk to the average American citizen. Large institutions aren't exactly known for keeping data secure from malicious cyber attacks. Even those with the world's top tech talent have trouble with keeping data secure. How much more secure can we expect the public sector to be? There are far too many examples of government breaches to cite, but let's not forget about the 2015 incident in which 700,000 IRS accounts were compromised. All right, so, I mean, we look at this story and it just seems to me that, yes, with nothing right now backing the dollar but debt bonds or secured bonds, debt bonds, that there's a promise to pay back, which means that people must go to work, they must pay their debts, they must pay back taxes, and let's not act like taxes is what's really funding all this. It's really going to work and paying for your debts. That's the only thing that's really backing the dollar is an IOU that we're going to go to work and we're going to pay our debts. All right, so if we feel like as quote unquote citizens feel like, nobody's going to work to pay their debts, then yes, the dollar then really has nothing to back it. But as long as everybody gets up and goes to work and pays their debts and pays taxes, well, essentially, yeah, the bonds have value, right? The dollar has value. Asking banks to share with the IRS if you've got money flowing in and out of your account over six, of course, everybody with a job has that flowing through their banks, right? But you can actually, we're in the crypto space, you can actually bank without a bank. Okay, so if you're scared of that, you should probably be in the crypto space anyway and manage your own banking. Now, even with that, when you deal with exchanges have to report information. I totally get that. And that's KYC. And so one of the things in legislation they were talking about in the reconciliation plan, I believe it was, they were talking about reporting transactions from crypto wallets of a certain amount from one wallet to the next. And I only speculate based on the revision of the old, adding to the quote unquote, if you spend $10,000 of cash doing a transaction, then the other side of that transaction has to report that transaction to the IRS for tax purposes. Yeah, so let's just imagine you go buy a car and you go buy a car with $10,000 worth of cash. Well, because you brought cash in, that car that you bought, that business that sold you that car, of course you signed papers and you know you now have the title for that vehicle and the purchase slip to say that you purchased it. So there's the hard trail, the evidence that that transaction happened. But what the IRS says is, but that business that sold you that vehicle, because it was $10,000 worth of cash, you need to turn that in for tax purposes. And so let's just imagine that the business didn't want to pay taxes for that sale because the business sold something, right? And they're a business. There's a car salesman, a car lot, and they sold that car. So because you brought in cash, well, let me not report this to the IRS. Let me just profit all this and not pay taxes on it, right? So that's why it's a law that you have to report that cash coming in for that price, because that's you getting away with reporting your taxes as a business. And as a business, you are working for the biggest corporation known as the United States. So as a the head corporation, you're working as a business inside that corporation. You've got to pay your taxes and everything else, just as citizens that work for these corporations got to pay taxes. So I said all that to get to this. The reason that's happening, that is to escape fraud and people trying to get away from paying taxes. So when you look at the crypto space, as far as you being your own bank, when you go make a payment, because it's coming, we saw that with Verifone and BitPay. When you go to that same, let's use the car lot again, you go to that car lot and they're selling a car and it's $12,000 and you give them $12,000 worth of Doge. They take that directly to their wallet. That payment is made. They say, oh, it was crypto. I don't want to report that. I'm just going to keep that crypto. Well, they're saying they have to have a law, because the same business had the same way of escaping it through getting cash. It is no different with crypto. So when we talk about monitoring inflow of accounts, it's not that they want to actually know, right, what you're doing with your money. It's just they want to have a flow of stream from that bank to make sure that when you're moving money in and out, like say for instance, you go through Coinbase, and this is an example. Let's say through Coinbase you have let's use Dogecoin again. You've got Dogecoin, and so you bring Dogecoin out of the crypto space, you convert it into dollars, and then you bring it out of Coinbase into your wallet. So you bring in, let's say, $600-700 from Coinbase into your wallet. Where did that come from, right? So IRS is looking and saying, okay, well, we are aware that there's transactions on the public blockchain, so these things can be seen, but there's no way of attaching what to what. So essentially, you could be using the crypto space to launder or flip money illegally, large amounts or small amounts, doesn't matter, to clean money, do illegal transactions. So if they're setting up a system to where they can track things, this only seems to me like another part of it. I could be wrong. This is just my understanding and thought process on it right now, until more information comes out about what they're doing. But right now, for me, it just seems like they're really trying to track. And if they're tracking, well, you've got to understand there's definitely a reason for it. They don't just come up with this stuff out of the blue. Am I taking sides? No. I'm just basically trying to understand what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and try to see from the next view, because I can look from my view and just have my thoughts. But if I try to see from the next view and understand what's been done before, so could this be explaining why they're doing it now? It just kind of makes sense. So anyways, that's what I got on that story.
Thank you for joining us at WWTA News. If you enjoyed our video, please hit the subscribe and like button, and join us next time to follow the news in crypto, finance, and economics.